Hi there, I'm Cheryl, and I'll be using the Spellbinders 3D Grand Cabinet die today to make this screen card. It's a folding screen, and then you can set it up like this to display it. So, I've tried to keep it fairly simple. I've been making some rather elaborate cards lately, so I've used some stamps from the Picture Perfect birthday. Actually, just this one, the happiest of birthdays to you. And from Hold On to Hope, I used this flower spray. And then our butterfly comes from Heartfelt Creations Butterfly Kisses. And I have the stamp and the die set for that. And of course the Grand Caliber or Grand Cabinet 3D die from Spellbinders. And we're going to need a lot of cardstock. We need 3 sheets of cardstock. I use the Whisper White, and I already pre-cut 6 of these, and that's just using the outside die for the cabinet, which is this one right here. So we need 6 of those. So you're going to need 3 sheets of paper. And then we'll have left over from that, we'll have these strips. So don't throw those away. We're going to be using those. Well, we're going to use one of them anyway for our butterfly. And I'm also using my my Tim Holtz stamp positioner, because I don't have the Stamparatus yet. I've got my paper piercing tool, commonly known as a pokey tool. We have some rhinestones. I have some little ones and some medium-sized ones. I'll be using my Tombow. I've got a whole bunch of sponges off to the side here. I have some of the makeup sponge kind, and then I have some of the sponge dauber type ones. The inks we're going to use are the Memento Tuxedo Black. And we're using Tempting Turquoise, Daffodil Delight, and Rose Red from Stampin' Up. And then I'm also using some of the Tim Holtz Distress inks. I'm using Stormy Sky, Tattered Rose, and Shabby Shutters. And I have them on my little bitty stamps that I've made. I have a little thing about these on my blog, so you might want to take a look at that. But these are kind of cool. I made them a teardrop shape so that I can get into places with the pointy end. And then I just bought, instead of buying ink pads too, I just bought the re-inkers for these inks, and made my own little stamp pads. I figure they cost me under 75 cents a piece to make these. So anyway, let's get going with this. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'll stamp and color in 2 of the butterflies. Now, where did that get to? There we go. Get that stamp out, mount it on a block. It's a fairly large die. Let me get that inked up. And there's one. Oops. And 2 of those we need. So now I'll get my sponge daubers. Let's see. I think that's my... No, that's a green one. I don't want to use that. Okay, that's my yellow. That's my red and my blue. I made the bodies on both of them the rose red. So I went in and just sponged in. Went out onto the wings a little bit with that. And I'll switch over to the blue, the Tempting Turquoise. And just to make them a little bit different, I sponged the Tempting Turquoise on the outside of the wings on one, and then on the inside of the wings on the other one. Okay, and then we can get rid of that one. And lastly, I use the Daffodil Delight on these. And just right in the middle on this one. And around the edges on this one. So the next I'll use my die cut and I'll cut these out. I'm not going to make you watch that. I'll go off camera for a minute and do that. But I'm going to also, while I'm off camera, oh boy, I have black ink all over my hands. I am going to, from these, I'm going to put one aside because I want to keep the tabs on one of them. And on the other 5, I'm going to cut these little side tabs off. So I'll do that while I'm off camera too, because you don't need to see that, I don't think. It's just trimming off the tabs. So let me get this part done, and I'll clean up my table a little bit here, and I'll get right back to you. Okay, I'm back, and I've got all my little tabs cut off on 5 of them. I have one that's not cut off. So let's put these together. Oh, and my butterflies are done. I love those little swirly things on them. So what we're going to do, I'm going to use my Tombow glue. Actually, for this, I think I'll use my Dries clear. Where's my little bottle of Dries clear? I'm going to use the Art Glitter Designer Dries clear glue because that sets up faster. So I'll just put a little glue on each of these tabs. And close this up so it doesn't dry out. And I'm going to take one that I've cut the tabs off. Just going to line that up. And there's going to be a small gap in between. Just a little bit of a gap in between. I'm going to line the bottom edge up here. I'll take another one of my ones that have no tab on it. And do the same thing on this side. Just line that up. Like so. So now that makes our little hinges for our screen card. I'm going to flip it over. And see that I got some ink on here. But that's okay because it's going to be hidden away. And now I'll use the Tombow. Tombow gives me just a little bit more time to move things around if I have to. And we're going to make this a double layer on each of these. I get that all lined up. I'm going to stand that up, make sure that it's all lined up well. And do the same for these next two. We'll do the middle one. And the same thing. Now this not only makes the card sturdier, but it also covers up our little hinges. We want our hinges hidden and our card to be sturdy so that when it stands up, we don't have any problems with it. Okay, so we'll flip that back over here to the front and we'll start to do our shading. We're actually doing like a double ombre on here. We're going to have an ombre effect across the card, and then our butterflies also have the ombre effect on them. So I'm going to start with the green, which is Shabby Shutters. And dab that off on my table here. And just start blending all over the card. We're going to stop just a little bit short of the edge here. And remember, while you're shading, you can always add more color, but once you've got that color down, it's hard to take it away. So you want to start out a little on the light side and then add more. But on this card, actually, I wanted a lot of color on it. Okay, and I'll move on to the Stormy Sky. That's the blue color. You might wonder why I dab it off like this. That helps to work the ink down into all the little pores of the sponge. And we're going to come over here. We're going to overlap the green a bit. And this ink is going to dry a little lighter. So if you're saying, oh my gosh, that's awfully dark, well, don't worry about it. Yeah, it looks very, very dark right now. Oh my gosh, what is that on there? Look at that, there's something on the paper. I don't know what that is. Must have gotten some glue or something on there sometime. And we're almost done with the blue. At least for the shading part anyway. And then I'll move on to the pink, which is Tattered Rose. What an odd thing that is. And you notice I'm dabbing my sponges off all in the same place because we're going to be blending those colors together anyway. So And all the way over. So isn't this fun, watching me blend? I'm trying to go as fast as I can. Oh, and look at that. There's another spot. Oh my. That is just the weirdest thing. Maybe I had a little glue on my fingers? I don't know. I just don't know. Okay, so that's good enough, I think. And then we're going to go back through the inks again. I'm going back to the Shabby shutters, the green, and I'm going to ink up my stamp. This is the one from Hold On to Hope. I'm going to stamp one little spray of these flowers up here. And again, that looks very, very dark, but it's going to lighten, I promise. And we're going to stamp one down here. Then I'm going to clean my stamp real quick. And we'll move on to the blue. Let me cover this up. And there's a stormy sky. That must be fun to get to name these colors. That would be my job, I think, that I would want to have if I worked for one of these stamp or ink companies. I'd want to be the one that gets to name the colors. Okay, so that's the blue. So you can see that green is already starting to lighten up a little bit. Clean that off really well, because we'll be going on to the pink. And that's a fairly light color compared with the blue. I don't want any blue left on my stamp. And the same thing with the Tattered Rose. Just ink that up. And stamp that up here. And one more. We can close that up and put that aside now. And here we go. And I'll do my sentiments next. Normally I like to do my sentiments first to make sure that they come out properly. But in this case, I was afraid that while I was blending, they might run into each other. So I saved that for last. For this, I have a very long stamp from the butterfly collection, and it says butterfly something. Let me see. It's hard to read a stamp when it's upside down and backwards. Fluttering by with a birthday high. Okay, so I already have that lined up in my positioner. Let me take this out. That's just a little thing I keep in there. And I could put it in like this and have it stamp it like this, but a lot of people don't have a stamp positioner that they can go off the edge like with this one, or like the new Stampin' Up one, the Stamparatus. Oh, it's got to go this way. So I'm doing it this way so that just folding back these other pages. And I'll ink that up with my Memento black. And there we go. So now that one's stamped on there. And then we'll do the happiest of birthdays. And I have that right here. Right there. There we go. So we're almost done with the card. So I'm going to put my butterflies on. And I'll use my Tombow for that. And I'm just going to put the glue in the center of the butterfly. Let me close that up. We don't need that black ink all over the place. I'm going to put him on this green part, which is the front of our card. I'm just going to have him at a little bit of an angle. And I can flip his wings up a little bit if I want. Just to add a little bit of dimension there. And then on the pink one, excuse me, he's going to go at an angle also, but it's going to be angled this way. And look at that, it covers up that little white spot there. Well, that's nice. That's a good thing. And we can put our rhinestones on now. Now, where did my pokey tool get to? I need that. And I also need some scissors because these rhinestones are all interconnected. When I'm done putting these rhinestones on, I want to show you another way you could do this if you wanted to get a little bit more fancy with the card. What you could do, I'll show you now. They have this lacy border here that comes with the Grand Cabinet die set, and you trim these little tabs off here, and you could put this on the front of each of these pieces. So put that down and then put your butterfly, and all those little curly cues will be on top. And then you could put it on this middle one and then maybe cut this out, put this on, stamp this on a different piece of paper. You're fluttering by with a birthday high, you could put that on a separate piece of paper and have that as a banner going across. And then the same here, you could have your butterfly on top of this and then stamp your happiest of birthdays to you stamp on a separate little label or banner or something, and have that on top. So you could dress it up a little bit more. But like I said, I'm trying to keep it simple. I've been really doing pretty elaborate cards just lately. So let me get these rhinestones down. I'm just yakking on. I'm going to end up running out of video time. They just randomly, oh, that one's got upside down and stuck on my finger. And we'll put some little ones over here. I need to cut some more loose. This can be a little bit annoying if you only want one rhinestone at a time. But if you say you wanted to have a whole string of them, well, then that would be, then it makes it nice for you because they're all interconnected. Let's see, we just put some around here. Come on, little gemstone. I've seen people use scissors to do this instead of the pokey tool, but I just never got the hang of doing that. I find the pokey tool is just as easy to use. Actually, I find it easier to use. And we'll put a couple up here around the butterfly. Let's see. That one there looks good. And we'll put some of the bigger ones. Yeah, that's enough for that one. Dead time. Oh, I don't know if y'all keep up with the Stampin' Up things, but Stampin' Up is revamping all of their colors. Yeah. They're coming out with a new type of stamp pad. They're doing away with some colors. They're bringing back some old favorites. And then they have their in colors that they always come out with about this time of year. Or soon, anyway. June 1st is when they're coming out with them. But that should be interesting because they've not only redesigned their stamp pads, but they've reformulated their ink to make it non-foaming. I never noticed that it foamed before, but I guess it did. So there's our card. We've got our rhinestones on, our butterflies on. I've kept it fairly simple, but you can jazz it up with some borders like this if you wanted to. And I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have liked it, then be sure to hit the like button down below. If you'd like to see more of my videos, then you can subscribe. There's a button for that below too. If there are any Stampin' Up products that you'd like to use or like to purchase, you can do that either through my Facebook page or my website, my blog, excuse me, my blog. And check out my blog because I put things on there sometimes that don't make it anyplace else. And that's it. That's the end. So, y'all take care, stay safe, and happy stamping.